I'm Claudia Catania, and you're listening to Playing on Air. If you're here, we already know you love theater and podcasts. So from our friends at CBC Podcasts, here's a recommendation to add to your list. Play Me from CBC Podcasts is proud to present a new series, The Show Must Go On, featuring exciting productions from some of North America's most acclaimed creators for the stage. Sit back and experience everything from chilling thrillers to gut-wrenching dramas to irreverent comedies. Each month, experience the exhilaration of the theater right from the comfort of your own home. The theaters have closed, but the show will go on. You can subscribe to Play Me on the CBC Listen app or wherever you get your podcasts. Hi, Playing on Air listeners. It's your host, Claudia Catania. We'll be back with a full season of brand new episodes this fall. But to tide you over until then, we want to share some short plays from our back catalog. Give a listen. And if you're so inclined, rate and review us on iTunes to help others discover the show. And of course, our listener survey is still live until the end of August at playingonair.org/survey. Thanks, and thanks as always for listening. You are about to hear Happy by Alan Zweibel, prolific comedy writer of Curb Your Enthusiasm and 700 Sundays with Billy Crystal. It features Scott Adsit of 30 Rock and Frankie Faison of The Wire. Happy was directed by Fred Berner and co-presented by the Jerome L. Green Performance Space at New York Public Radio. We're in Delray Beach, Florida. The year is 1997. Donald Rappaport is entering a drab-looking apartment building. In its vestibule, he scans the apartment directory and finds the name he's looking for.
God, it's hot. God, my underwear is drenched. God, I hate Florida.
Yes.
Mr. Halliday.
Who'd like to know?
I would.
And you would be?
From New York.
And you think that narrows it down?
Oh, don't mind me. I'm just a little disoriented. You see, my parents live in Boca Raton, and I just flew here with my wife and kids because tonight's the first night of Passover.
Oh, and you think that narrows it down? Look, this time of year, everyone from New York comes to Florida.
Well, I wouldn't say everyone.
Oh, that's right. John Gotti's still in jail. Now, what can I do for you?
Well, my name is Donald Rappaport, and after we landed in West Palm Beach, I rented a Ford Taurus and dropped everyone off at my folks' place in Boca and then drove down straight here on I-95 to Delray Beach to try to find George Halliday because I want to speak to him. Are you him?
I could be, but only on one condition.
Which is?
That I don't have to hear one more word about your itinerary. Deal?
Deal?
Then yes, I am George Halliday.
The George Halliday?
A George Halliday.
But I'm looking for the George Halliday.
The George Halliday who's the superintendent of this building?
No, the George Halliday who used to play for the Mets?
Oh, that the George Halliday.
Yes, that the George Halliday. Are you him?
I was.
Well, that makes no sense.
How come?
Because you're either the George Halliday who used to play for the Mets, or you're not. It's not like you used to play for the Mets, but you no longer used to play for the Mets. You either did or you didn't. You either are or you aren't.
Ow! Ow!
Oh, is something wrong?
Yeah, I just threw my back out trying to follow that speech.
Sorry.
May I remind you, sir, that I am a janitor? Break it? I'll fix it. Soil it, I'll clean it up. Lose it, I'll replace it. Anything more complicated, I have to call somebody. Please, don't make me have to do that with this conversation.
Okay, all I want to know is if you are the one...
If I'm the George Halliday who once played baseball?
Yes.
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
You're Happy Halliday.
I'm Happy Halliday.
Great.
Well, now that we got that settled, is there something you'd like to talk to me about?
Yes, very much.
And you would like to have this talk face to face?
Yes, I would.
So then I'll buzz you in, okay?
Okay.
Well, you see how simple life can be if you just get to the point. George Halliday. You okay? Will you be talking soon?
Sorry. Donald Rappaport. I guess I'm just a little starstruck.
Well, I can see how all this can be overwhelming. But don't worry, I think you'll find that we janitors are just like ordinary people. Once you get past all the glitter and the damn paparazzi. So, Donald, ¿qué pasa?
I used to watch you play.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, my dad worked in the city. I'm originally from Long Island. There's a shocker, huh?
Yeah, I would have bet Kenya. So, you were telling me about your dad.
Well, all I was saying is, lots of times I would go to work with him on the weekends, and afterwards we'd drive up to the polo grounds, and I'd see you play. I was 8.
Oh, polo grounds ain't there no more, huh?
City knocked it down and put up apartment buildings a few years after the Mets moved into Shea.
And is that how you found out where I live? From the Mets?
No, I learned you were down here from that article I read about you.
What article?
In the New York Post. The series you were in.
What series?
Well, no, it's no big deal.
No, go ahead. Tell me.
The New York Post, in their sports section, has a feature called What Might Have Been. And about a month ago, they had a piece.
About me?
I'm sorry. I thought from the way it was written, I just assumed they spoke to you.
What do they have? A lot of that next Willie Mays stuff?
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to get some water. How about you?
Yeah, I'll have a slice of apple pie, heated up, and a large milk.
Would that be regular milk or 2%?
Make it 2%. I'm watching my weight. That way I can have 50 glasses of 2% milk for each glass of whole milk. Because on second thought, I'll just have some water.
Damn, and here I was looking forward to cooking for you. So, what are we talking about?
Here. Check this out.
Wow.
That baseball, the 1962 team. Pretty amazing, huh?
No pun intended.
Oh, no. Although that was the year they started calling you guys the Amazing Mets, right?
Yeah, right. Our amazing team that lost 120 games, which I believe is still the record for the most losses in one season by any major league team in baseball history.
Yeah, it still is.
Look at the names. Casey. And there's Gil Hodges. Elio Chacon.
Oh, yeah, my grandmother got really excited when she first heard Elio Chacon's name because she thought he was Jewish. She thought it was Ilyosha Cohen. Yeah, true story. Are you going to make fun of me right now?
No, not yet. Say, is it okay if I take this ball out of the cube?
Are your hands clean?
Excuse me?
Let me just take a look here.
Look, I just want to see it. I'm not going to perform surgery on it.
Yeah, they look all right. But just try to hold it by the seams.
Are you always this annoying?
Pretty much, yeah.
So, where'd you get this ball?
My dad, like I said, we used to go to the games all the time. He'd been a New York Giants fan, before they moved to San Francisco. So when the National League came back to the city, well, it didn't matter that the Mets stunk. In fact, it was part of the charm. I'd sit there and see the players letting ground balls go through their legs and tripping over their feet when they were rounding the bases and bumping into each other on the outfield. And I'd look at my dad and I'd say, I can do that. And he'd look back at me and say, I believe you can. And we'd laugh about it all the way home.
So where'd you get this ball?
You see, the Yankees were too good. They were exciting, but there was no way an average kid like me could ever relate to those guys. But you...
Ball get where?
I got this ball the first day you played for the Mets.
Really?
They just brought you up on September 1st, the day the teams can expand their rosters for the final pennant drive, right?
Yeah, there I was, sitting in some Holiday Inn down in Tidewater, when they called me up with the news that I'm going up for the pennant drive to a team who was 57 games out of first place with only 28 days left to play. And it was the greatest day of my life.
Yeah.
Man, they gave me a plane ticket. I called my folks, and when I landed in New York and stepped up to the plate for the first time, I was...
Happy!
Happy. I grew up across the street from the Polo Grounds. Yeah. Used to watch Willie Mays do what he did from our kitchen window. So now here I am, playing his old position, hitting those 2 home runs, and I'm...
Happy?
Happy. And that's what I told those sports writers, and that's how that whole Happy Halliday business got started. Yeah. All those banners, those pins, the billboard near the Holland Tunnel.
That's also when my dad started calling me that.
Happy?
Uh-huh.
Happy Rappaport.
Well, I admit it didn't have the same ring to it as Happy Halliday did, but dads didn't usually say the last name when they're calling their kids, so it worked out okay. This ball, the second time you were up?
That single.
The pitch before it.
Oh, the foul ball.
This is it.
That's the ball.
Yep. Huh. We were sitting in the second level behind the plate, and this ball comes screaming back at us. I brought my glove to the game, but there was no way I was going to catch this thing without it ripping my entire arm off my body. So my dad just nonchalantly reached over, stuck his huge meat hook of a hand in front of me, snagged the ball out of the air, and said, "There you go." And here we are. It's 35 years later, and this is still the closest I've ever come to catching a foul ball at a game.
And what about all those signatures? I don't remember swinging at any balls that had all those names on it.
Those I got on the last day of that season. Someone who worked for my dad had a friend who got us passes to the clubhouse. Oh. So I brought this ball so I could get your autograph after the game. I ended up getting everybody's except yours. We waited for you, but you never came back from the hospital. So we went home, and I just figured we'd get your autograph the following season.
Well, sorry. Imagine how I felt, though. I got hit by a pitch, run to first, steal second, steal third, score on a sacrifice fly, collapse in the dugout, taken to Lenox Hospital for precautionary x-rays, and the next thing I know, they're drilling holes in my skull because I had blood clots. Before that day, I'd never even heard of blood clots. But now I had some, and they were going to keep me from doing the only thing I ever cared about doing.
I wrote you that winter.
Yeah, a lot of people sent cards, get well wishes. At one point, they were actually delivering mail that was just addressed to Happy New York City.
Wow. Well, that was me.
You sent those?
Yeah. My father said you needed the rest, so I just wrote Happy New York City on the envelope, and I put a blank sheet of paper inside because I didn't want to tire you out by making you read too many words.
Well, I appreciated it. Your father still call you Happy after it was all over for me?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, a lot. He always pointed to you as an example of how a person should enjoy life in the moment, because you never know what's waiting around the corner.
You mean sort of like a man makes plans and God's laugh kind of thing?
No, I'd say it's more along the lines of be careful what you wish for because you might get it.
Why?
Well, because you got hit in the head with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball.
I didn't wish for that.
Oh.
I mean, who would wish for a thing like that?
No, I get it. It just, so maybe it was more in the line of smile is a frown turned upside down?
Yeah.
Kind of thing?
Yeah, that must have been it. You late for something?
Huh?
You keep looking at your watch.
Oh, it's just a habit.
What time's your Seder?
Sundown.
And what time is sundown?
Whatever time everyone's hungry. It's a Jewish thing. Look, you mind signing that ball?
You want my autograph?
Yeah.
You sure? Because I can't remember the last time anyone asked me to sign something that didn't have an invoice number on it.
You're the only name that's missing on it, and it would mean a lot.
Well, if you say so.
Here, use this pen.
Mm-hmm. Now, how should I do this?
Oh, well, you just find an open spot on the ball and sign your name there.
No, I mean the pen. Where's the point on this thing?
Oh, you just turn the top there. And there you go.
Oh, yeah. And what about this crap over here?
What crap? What crap?
This rubber crap.
Oh, that's just padding to rest your fingers on while you're writing.
A padding on the pen to rest my fingers on while I'm writing.
It's really comfortable, so you don't hurt your fingers.
While I'm writing.
It was a gift. Now you're going to make fun of me.
Yeah, you've given me no choice.
All right, okay, go ahead.
You ready?
Go.
You're a sissy Mary.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, you really nailed my fat ass on that one. So, now that that's over with, if you don't mind.
Oh, boy. I'm really honored.
There's a spot right there.
Well, where?
Between Marv Throneberry and Choo Choo Coleman.
Well, that's a little tight, don't you think?
No, not really.
Ah, here we go. Now, should it be to Donald or Don or one of your
No,
kids?
no, just your name.
But
No, it shouldn't be to anyone.
you flew down, you landed in West Palm Beach, you drove the rented Taurus to my house. I feel like I should say something special.
Well, I appreciate that, but it's much more valuable if it's not personalized to anyone.
What do you mean by valuable?
It's worth more.
To who?
To a buyer.
Excuse me?
Well, if a collector is in the market for something like this, he's more apt to pay top dollar if it has just the athlete's name on it, as opposed to something that's made out to a specific person, because then when he goes to sell it, his buyer might not want a ball that's made out to someone else.
You know, we both know what I do for a living, but I don't believe we ever got around to talking about what you do, Mr. Rappaport.
I deal sports memorabilia. Here's my card.
Aha. The Sports Kingdom.
I have 4 stores in the tri-state area.
So let me see if I understand this correctly. Now, this ball with all those autographs on it is worth money.
Yes.
And if I write my autograph on it,
It'll be worth more money.
why?
Well, there'd be no other ball like it. That original team. 3 of them Hall of Famers, based on the careers they had on other teams before they came to the Mets, mind you. But still, they're dead. So they can never sign another ball ever again. And the rest of these players are probably scattered out over the country, and it would take a fortune to go track them down.
So how much could you get?
For that ball?
Approximately.
I can tell you exactly.
So tell me exactly.
$28,000.
Dollars?
That's right.
So let me see if I understand this correctly.
Uh-huh.
You actually think that you can take this ball and sell it for exactly...
I know I can sell that ball for exactly $28,000.
And how's that?
It's already sold.
It is.
Yes, well, once you sign it, that is.
And just so I know, how did that happen?
Well, I know a man up in New Jersey whose name is Joe Eastern, and he's a collector, and he called me. You see, Happy, there's so much memorabilia out there, the market is so flooded, that many collectors like to specialize in just one particular category that they have a passion for. The 1961 Yankees is a big attraction. Anything to do with Muhammad Ali, and, some of the great Boston Celtic teams, And this guy...
Joe Easton.
That's right, Joe Eastern.
He's the one who gave you the Sissy Mary pin as a gift?
No, but he did tell me that he grew up on Long Island and that he was 11 years old when the Mets came into existence, and I told him I had a game-used ball with the original team's signatures on it, with the exception of yours, and he said if you signed it, well, I negotiated a price of $28,000.
So you're going to part with this ball?
Yes.
This ball that's filled with all those happy memories of when your hero dad caught it.
Well, yeah.
That same dad who called you happy. After me, by the way. Who the hell are you, Mr. Rappaport? I played baseball because I loved it. I still love it. Every year I stop by those spring training camps when the teams are down here. They don't know me from a hole in the ground. To them, I'm just another fan, and they're right. I am a fan. And you told me that you were one, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now I see that all you really came here for was to get an old man's signature on this ball so you can peddle memories for a profit.
No, Happy.
No, Mr. Rappaport, you are not
no,
a
Happy,
fan.
Happy, I assure
You're a
you-
scavenger.
Happy.
A parasite who feeds
please.
off those who actually add something to the world.
Happy!
What?
I came here to give the ball to you.
Excuse me? Would you mind indulging an old man by repeating that last sentence one more time? Just in case I die.
Joe Eastern offered me $25,000 for the ball, but I insisted on exactly $28,000, which is exactly $1,000 for every game you played in the major leagues. It's not a lot by today's standards, but I thought there was a certain ring to the way it sounded.
So let me see if I understand this correctly. I signed this ball.
And Joe Eastern owes you $28,000.
I just shamed you into that.
Oh, no.
No, me calling you a scavenger and a parasite and a bottom feeder.
No. Well, you didn't call me a bottom feeder.
Well, that's because you interrupted me. I was on the verge of calling you that and a whole lot more worse.
Well, I'm sorry I interrupted. I would have loved to have heard you top Sissy Mary.
Well, so right from the time you buzzed my button, you were going to do this?
Yeah.
No. Something's wrong with this story.
Well, why do you say that?
Well, it just doesn't add up.
What doesn't add up? Look, Happy, my
Look,
father...
I've tried my best all these years not to be bitter. That doesn't do anyone any good. One newspaper guy once figured out that if I'd kept up those numbers I had, over the length of my normal career, I'd be in the Hall of Fame. Well, that kind of talk don't do anyone any good neither. Sure, it would have been great if I was Happy Halliday for longer than I was, but I wasn't. So I try my best not to mourn for the life I didn't have. And I think I'm doing an okay job. We raised 5 kids in this place, my wife and I. She worked, I worked, and somehow we managed to send 5 happy people out into the world. But now you come here offering me this incredible generosity. Jesus, more money than I've ever seen in any one place at any one time, and one part of me wants to cry, and another part is suspicious and says that this doesn't add up, that there's a lie here that hasn't been said
There's
yet.
no lie, Happy, here. Here's Joe Eastern's phone number. Call him, see for yourself that I'm...
No, I believe that part.
Well, then what part don't you believe? What, the Taurus? I swear to you, I rented a Ford Taurus. I'm not proud of it, but look outside. It's right by the curb.
No, it's the pacing. The constant looking at your watch. I've seen executive types before. Suits, tiny phones that make them look like they're talking into their hands. Guys who are here but on their way to there, are there but have to cut it short because they're already late somewhere else. Basically, we're talking about guys who are never where they want to be. So now, I look at you and do my best to figure out where you're supposed to be instead of here. Now, can you tell me that? Where you really should be right now?
In Boca.
With your family?
Yep.
But instead, you came down here. You read an article, flew down, and drove a rented Taurus to Delray Beach so you can give someone you never met a $28,000 baseball an hour before the start of a holiday dinner when you're going to be here in Florida for, how long?
7 days.
But Passover lasts 8 days.
Yeah, but the Shiva lasts 7 days.
The Shiva.
The mourning period. My father died last night. We flew down here for his funeral.
Wow. There's more, right?
We hadn't spoken in years. We had a fight, and I got real pissed at him, and he got real pissed at me, and we were both acting like we were going to live forever and had all the time in the world to make it up to each other.
What was the fight about?
We both forgot. But we were both stubborn. My mom tried to intervene, my sisters, my brother. All I know is that I was starting to miss him, and then about a month ago, that article about you was in the New York Post, and I sent it to my dad with a note attached that said, "Remember?" And a few days later, I got a package in the mail, a box. And inside of it was this ball and a note which said, "Yes, I remember." And I called him, and we stayed on the phone for over 3 hours, and at the end of the conversation, we decided that we would give you this ball together when I came down for Passover. And then around 3 o'clock in the morning, this morning, my mom phoned. He had a heart attack.
Had you two spoken since that 3-hour call?
Every night.
My God. No kidding.
No kidding.
So I did good.
You did real good. Thank you. Look, I should be getting back to my parents. Here's Joe Easton's number. After you sign the ball, why not give him a buzz and see if you can work out details directly?
Well, I'm not sure I want to do that.
Oh, would you like me to call him for you?
No. I'm just not so sure that I want to sell this thing so fast.
Happy.
I know. I know. There's a lot anyone can do with $28,000, but just like you have your quirky ways about you, I was brought up to feel that a man should not accept any gift that he himself could not afford to have given.
Don't let false pride enter this, Happy, because I don't know exactly how much it was worth you getting me and my dad back together again, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm the one who got the bargain. But the decision is yours. There's the ball. There's the phone number. Take care, Happy Halliday.
Oh, you too, Happy Rappaport.
Bye.
Oh, hey, Donald.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
And Donald?
Oh, yes.
Next Passover, if you and your family should decide to fly down to Florida,
Yes.
I'd really love it if you had the Seder here in my apartment.
Really?
Yeah, that way I could get to cook that big meal for you we were talking about earlier.
And pie?
Oh, yes, pie.
A la mode?
Don't push it.
You just heard Happy, written by Alan Zweibel and directed by Fred Berner. It featured Frankie Faison as Happy Halliday and Scott Adsit as Donald Rappaport. We are here with playwright Alan Zweibel and the artists of his play, Happy. So did baseball really play a part in your relationship with your father? How much, if any, of this play is autobiographical?
Well, the baseball and my dad part is incredibly autobiographical. There were actually 2 incidents in my life that had happened that gave birth to this thought. Our son, my wife Robin and I have a son, and when he was around 12, 13 years old, he showed himself to be a good baseball player, and he was in a clinic. And around that time, I used to collect baseball memorabilia. And I bought a ball from a place here in New York. We lived in L.A. at the time, an auction house called Leland's. And it was from the 1961 Yankee team. And our son was in a clinic, and the guy who ran the clinic was a former Yankee pitcher named Al Downing. And his signature was on the ball. So I went one day when we went to pick up Adam, I went up to Al Downing. I said, look, you remember signing this ball? And he said, my God. He said, when we played, we used to sit in the clubhouse, and there were baskets of balls, and we'd sign them and just pass them down, and now it's a big business. And he said, may I ask you how much you paid for that ball? And I told him, God, it was like $1,100, and he just shook his head and said, I can't believe I'm at a point in my life now where I can't afford a baseball that has my name on it. So that I sort of wrote down in my head. And then I had a friend who wasn't getting along with his dad. And for years they were estranged. And the great grief of his life was that his dad passed away before they were able to have any kind of rapprochement. So I just married the 2 thoughts together.
Fred Berner, you've directed Alan's play before. Did anything new or surprising reveal itself in the short time you had to prepare today's cast for the recording?
Yeah, the Cubs won the World Series. And while I was working and during the World Series, people were leaving the set saying they had to go be with their dad. they had to go be with their family for the 7th game of the World Series. And my dad had 3 heart attacks, and I have to be with him, and there were all these precautionary measures that people were having around the possibility of people being so completely involved in the series that they might get sick or they needed to be there. And my dad's 85 years old, and you know, not the least of it was the Cubs, but the thing that sort of got under my skin was this notion that I don't really know why, more than any other sport, baseball and heredity and fathers and sons are so inextricably connected. I don't really know why that is.
Scott Adsit, you were part of the main stage cast of Second City in Chicago. Can you tell listeners what Second City does and how it's influenced you?
Well, it's been around since 1959 as the Second City, and it was created by some very funny intellectuals at the University of Chicago, and that eventually became this enormous monolith of comedy in Chicago, which is called the Second City. And if you look down the alumni list, it's a very impressive list of names, myself included. And the people who came out of there, who cut their teeth there, have had a huge influence on our culture. When I was there, it was smaller and a little more intimate, but it still had the impact on everyone who ever came into contact with it. It's an amazing place.
Alan, can you write funny in any mood, or do you have to? I mean, can you write funny in a stinky mood?
It's a common question, and it almost defies logic. You know, if somebody passed away or you broke up with someone or something awful has happened, it almost seems like heresy that you're trying to be funny. But in some odd way, my experience has been the sadder I am, the funnier I am, and I don't know why.
Frankie, if you could pitch any project knowing you'd get a guaranteed green light regardless the cost, what would that project be?
That's a tough question. Why don't you ask those guys some of those hard questions, man? Why can't I say stuff like who my favorite comedians are?
Well, yeah.
Like being funny, stuff like that. You throw the profound stuff down here to me? That's wrong. One of my great heroes was my father, and the sisters we're talking about this, and he was such an unusual man. You know, he was born, ahead of his time, really, in the things that he did. And I would like to pitch something that would resonate around his life and his stories, because they are so unusual, but they're also so all-inclusive. Because I have yet to do any part, any role that I have not referenced some aspect of my father's personality and character with. He's always, always there.
Well, thank you. It's been a great pleasure. We've been speaking with playwright Alan Zweibel, director Fred Berner, and actors Frankie Faison and Scott Adsit. Thanks so much.
Yeah, pleasure.
You've been listening to Playing on Air. Associate producer, Michelle O'Brien. Literary manager, Bonnie Antosh. Theme and play music, Tom Cochan. Recording and sound design by John Kilgore. Playing on Air is distributed by PRX. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can visit us at playingonair.org, where you can discover new shorts and interviews with amazing artists. Subscribe to Playing on Air on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And to help us share great theater with new listeners nationwide, rate and review a show. It's the best way to spread the word. For Playing on Air, I'm your host, Claudia Catania. Thanks for listening.